Welcome back to the About Last Night podcast. Banger of an episode today. Paul Feig, director of Bridesmaids, The Heat, Spy, Unaccompanied Minors, A Simple Favor, Last Christmas, and the new #1 movie on Netflix in the world, The School for Good and Evil, starring Charlise, Theron, Kerry, Washington, and Adam Ray. Paul Feig is a legend and a staple of the business. He's a master storyteller, a hilarious dude. His story into the business is bonkers. A comedian, an actor, a writer, a director. We get into everything. He's become a really sweet pal of mine, and he made time. We did it live from the Feig Co. offices, in Hollywood, and it was awesome. About almost 90 minutes of talking shop and movie making. And we talked about making a movie about a plane that had to make an emergency landing because of a horrendous poop that was made on board, a film we titled Poop Plane. We talk about that. We talk about making The School for Good and Evil. We talk about writing movies, directing, his acting days, some fun stories from The Heat, some fun Jason Statham stories from Spy. It's a banger, and I can't wait for you guys to listen. Follow Paul Feig on Instagram and Twitter at Paul Feig. He also has a gin out called Artingstall's Brilliant London Dry Gin. It's delicious. I've had it. He gave me a bottle. I've always been a decent gin guy. This shit is fucking delicious. Get it wherever you get your booze. Artingstall's Brilliant London Dry Gin from Mr. Paul Feig. And November 15th, which is tomorrow, his book, Cocktail Time, is available everywhere where books are sold. This book is a beautifully designed cocktail and lifestyle guide with hilarious stories from Paul's life. You gotta go get it. It's incredible. The dude just doesn't stop. Tonight, I will be on Watch What Happens Live on Bravo with Andy Cohen. Check that out. And then this Saturday, I will be in Evansville, Indiana with Sal Vulcano. Come out and see us, Evansville, Indiana, Saturday night, 7 p.m. And then, holy shit, Rich Eisen, November 22nd. I'll be on Rich Eisen's show, November 22nd. That is the day that Welcome to Chippendales drops on Hulu. Check that out. I'm in that show. I can't wait for you to see it. Killer cast, killer show. Check it out. Of course, Young Rock's. New episodes of Young Rock every Friday on NBC. Check that out. Also, this Thursday, my episode of Welcome to Flatch drops. I play Jamie Presley's douchey ex-husband on Welcome to Flatch this Thursday on Fox, so check that out. Also, tour dates, December 11th, Snoqualmie Casino in Seattle, Washington. I'll be headlining Snoqualmie Casino December 11th. Come out and see your boy. December 22nd and 23rd, Portland, Oregon. I'll be in Portland at Helium Comedy Club for 3 shows, December 22nd and 23rd. Come out and see me. Cannot wait. And then, of course, Vegas for New Year's, December 29th through the 31st at the Laugh Factory, Tropicana in Las Vegas, December 29th through the 31st. Come out and see your boy. And then, of course, 2023 is stacked with tour dates. Come out and see me all over this great country of ours. We're going to Chicago. We're going to San Diego. We're going to West Palm Beach. We're going to Fort Lauderdale. I cannot wait for you guys to come out and see me. New material, new cities, same voice. Let's go. I can't wait. It's going to be a blast. 2023, AdamRayComedy.com on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And a lot of banger episodes coming up. Jamie Presley, Adam Devine, Jason Biggs, Fahim Anwar. It doesn't stop. Subscribe, tell your friends, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. Subscribe, tell your friends, your families, your lovers, your enemies. And now that we got all the bullshit out of the way, enjoy this episode with the one and only Paul Feig.
Hey, it's Herbert. And you're listening to the About Last Night podcast, you slippery little son of a bitch. About last night.
Guys, welcome back to the About Last Night. I don't know if you can see, but we are not in the studio today. Mm-hmm. We are in a staple of Hollywood, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, totally. This is where it all happens.
This is where it all happens. We're in the Magic Factory.
This is Hollywood.
If this would be like where, like if you did a podcast at Walt Disney's office, or where I wonder where, like, maybe the Magic Kingdom, is this the equivalent? Is this?
Yeah, this is sort of the
What ride
slightly less magical kingdom.
What ride would the FEDCO office be? Like, what world? I guess Tomorrowland? I like to come in hot with the big questions right out of the gate.
I know,
Paul.
you're blowing my mind already there, Adam. Well, it could be the Haunted Mansion. Because there are some, well, actually, I've tried
Is this place haunted?
That portrait behind you is from Ghostbusters, actually. So technically, I
Holy
shit.
shit.
It's definitely not haunted by my less successful projects because I've taken all those posters off the walls.
No way.
Yes.
No. Well, now let's. What do you speak of, by the way? Because I feel like people think of FEDCO and Paul Feig and they think of just monster hits,
rampant success. Exactly.
Well, you have the #1 movie in the world right now.
There you go.
The School for Good and Evil.
Thank you, sir.
Which, like I told you, I've watched 3 times, and I'll probably watch again. I didn't realize how many. And it's interesting to me that you say, oh, you just still, when you come out with something, even as, fulfilled as you feel from completing it, that you're still just like, you don't know how people are going to perceive it.
No.
But you probably watched it how many times before it?
Oh, when you're working on a movie, you've seen it a gazillion times, and it's funny. Like I love watching my movies when we're putting them together, and then when it's finished and we do put them from an audience, it's so much fun. But then at the premiere, as we're watching the premiere, I then go like, I'm never going to watch this movie again.
No way.
And I don't.
But are there parts that you still like will get excited for?
Yeah.
Or,
yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I especially get excited when like the music and the action and the story all line up together in a scene. And we have a big like battle scene at the end that we have this cover of Britney Spears' "Toxic" in, and I'm just like, whenever that comes up, I'm like, oh, this is great.
And you have your hand in all that stuff, right? Like even picking those tunes for each.
Yeah, that's hugely important to me. The music stuff is really good. I work with, I have a great music editor in Paul Chandler on this movie, and then Erica Weiss works with me too. So they bring me stuff, and actually Paul found that it's by a band called Two Way, and it was just this amazing thing. I was like, what is that? And he goes, oh, it's a cover of "Toxic," and we had it in one little section of that fight. And I was just like, put it in the whole thing, and then just change the whole tone.
And people don't know this about Paul Feig. They know he's a cinematic wizard, a master storyteller, a dapper dandy.
There you go.
But also a huge Britney Spears fan. Like people don't know that you stood outside the courthouse.
Yeah, I did.
Every
I was
day.
like, let's Britney go.
Let Britney go.
Leave her alone. That
You
was
were-
me.
and
I was
the-
crying under a blanket.
I was just going to say you were the free Britney kid.
I was, exactly.
I love that you've seen
I
that
aged
video.
very poorly. But
Gracefully. I love that you've seen that. Do you feel like, I feel like you do have your finger on the pulse of what's cool and what's going down. But like, do you have a YouTube rabbit hole, or are there things when Paul Feig needs to take a break from, which I know, I mean, you are like, fuck, I feel like I'm jamming on all cylinders, but it's like you, and God bless you for taking time to do this today.
hey,
I love you.
Anything for you, Adam.
I
Truly.
really appreciate it. Like you said, when you wrapped me, our 4th movie together, which is great.
Yep,
I didn't get blown up this time, which is a victory.
Just got hit in the head with a
Just got hit in the head with a frying pan.
Over and over and over again.
Which I love the take that you use because
she really cleaned your clock on that one,
oh,
didn't she?
there's going to be lasting effects, but it's for comedy, so it's all good.
There you go. Oh, boy.
But it was funny because she, the name of the actress again who played Sophie?
Sophia Ann Caruso.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Both of them, by the way, and we'll talk about that. You guys, you crushed the casting, man. People were so on point. But she was so politely like, how hard and I was like, fucking go for it. Like, because I feel like if you're going to hold back, it's going to look weird.
Right.
So just really, I'll just try to flex my head, I think I said, which she looked at me weird, and I was like, fuck, that's probably not the right impression to make. She was like, I don't think you can do that. I was like, I do comedy. She's like, okay.
I got a soft head. I can make this up.
Yeah. And so, but I definitely remember the face I made. I mean, I didn't see, any daily of it, but when I saw what you used, I was like, oh, that was the one where it really stung a bit.
Yo, no, totally. I've had that when I was an actor. Like, I'd always go like, hit me. Like, there was one when I was on the Jackie Thomas show, Tom Arnold's show, and I was working with Ann Cusack, and she had to slap me.
You were acting on the show.
Acting on the show, yeah. And she was supposed to slap me, and I was just like really slap me. It's gonna not be good if you don't. It's gonna look fake. And we're in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
She hauled off and hit me so fucking hard that like you have that thing. You probably had it too, where like you kind of your brain goes blank for like a nanosecond.
Yes.
And you're like, what the fuck? But it's hilarious.
All for the comedy.
All for the comedy. No, you got to. Well, when when Spy was up for a Golden Globe, they asked me to help present. So it was Melissa McCarthy and Jason Statham and myself.
Yes.
And I
Marry, fuck, kill, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
exactly.
I don't know.
kill myself.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just so nobody else has to fuck me. Exactly.
I guess you fuck Statham, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Melissa and Jay are both bringing a lot to the table. But when I met Statham at the FIGCO house for a holiday party, I was immediately transfixed by the man's aura.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to be. I felt, even though I'm a few inches taller, I felt very inferior.
Well, yeah, no, he is so charismatic. It's unbelievable.
He was walking out, and I go, and you were so kind, and we were just kind of closing down the night. I think you, me, Jess Chafin, and your sweet wife Lori, and a few other peeps, and he walks out, and you go, oh, Adam, meet Jason, and he goes, oh, it's you in the movie, and I go, oh yeah, I was the guy. He goes, hey, you're floating around on that robot, huh? And I go, yeah, dude, thank you for remembering me. He's like, yeah, I remember everything, and I was like, what an awesome Statham thing to say on the way out. I remember everything.
But he's the guy in the movie who says, I fucking made it about the suit, so it only tracks.
Yeah.
I love him so much. He's the greatest. No, so we were I wrote this bit where it was going to be like we come out and then Statham's basically saying he did everything on the movie, and Melissa and I are like, well, actually, and so I'm supposed to go like, well, actually, and then he's supposed to kind of grab me and shut me up.
Yeah.
So he was the same thing. He was like, oh, I don't want to hurt you, Paul. I said, like, Jason, if you don't fucking tear my head off, the joke's not gonna land.
No way.
And so,
which, by the way, I don't think I've seen him in a funnier or a comedy since Spy. So this is obviously like your domain. So like, was he receptive? Was
we got along so great. He really trusted me and stuff. But so we're doing it. I go like, well, Jason actually, and he like roundhouses me, gets me around the neck and yanks me down. But it's really funny. But in the audience, everybody just goes like, oh, which is kind of like, that's not the response I was looking for.
Yeah. You want them to feel bad for me.
I know, they were really worried. I know, it's like we played it up.
Yeah, when I first started doing jokes about my folks' divorce, it was like the first, I think it was maybe 2 years in, and people were like, yeah, talk about your real life and what you know. And so I did this joke where I would get on stage and I'd go, it's great to be here. Man, this feels a lot like my Little League games because my dad's not here. Great. I wish that was the response I got. It always got split. Oh, yeah. And I go, it's fine. They're not getting back together, which made them just go, oh, it's not over it. And I was like, fuck.
Hey, good night.
Yeah. Quickest 2 minutes ever. So you guys were, I know you were, I came in at the very end, I feel like.
We shot some new scenes for the School for Good and Evil.
I remember you sent me an email. You were like, apparently we're getting a lot of notes from Netflix saying there's not enough Ray in here. There's not enough. We need.
They're like, there's a presence missing.
There's a presence missing. We need a Jewish guy for diversity. Right. Exactly. One who's circumcised, preferably. And you're like, I only know one. And Statham is circumcised, but it's that was for a different reason. That was a dare. And but I know you guys shot all over the place. And one thing, and I said this on the red carpet too, and every person that wanted to gab it up with me, like Jim Henson to me is like one of my idols, right?
Yeah.
And you possess a lot of the same qualities where you are a master storyteller. You also there's nothing seems too big to you. Like you are such a true dreamer in this world, and you like shoot big because like, I was so blown away by, and I know everybody was, why it's the #1 movie in the world, School for Good and Evil, streaming now on Netflix.
Yeah. Thank you.
That it was so like, holy shit. But then also, like I told you when you walked in, I was like, yeah, but duh, because it's you. But I don't know even how you begin to start the process of like getting interested in the story. Obviously is like what's first, but then do you lay out a big blueprint like Muppet Caper style where you're like looking at everything being like, all right, we now know all the things we need to achieve to make this happen. And is it ever overwhelming?
I mean, it's always slightly overwhelming. You're always kind of like, oh shit. But you just kind of go, one day at a time, one scene at a time, one line at a time. And you just kind of take it that way. But no, I mean, this was a tough one because it's a giant book, that we had to pare down to 2 hours and 15 minutes long or whatever. But, if we shot the whole book, it would be 10 hours long.
The book is how long?
Oh gosh, I mean, it's like 400 or 500 pages,
Wow.
but it's also just a ton of stuff. It's all really inventive and clever and stuff. But we couldn't do it all. It would cost $1 bazillion. So it's more just kind of wrangling it down. But then also you're dealing with the fact that it's got like millions of fans. So you're kind of going, okay, let's make sure we get the fan service in. But then also we got to bring in way more people than are fans of the books to make it a giant hit for Netflix. So then you got to make sure that I have a real problem with movies where I go like, I don't know what's going on. They go, oh, well, you have to know the book. You have to know the comic strip, and it's like, oh, well, it's a movie. Like, I don't want to have to do studying before I go to see a movie. So there's like, okay, how do we bring people along? But so it was a big tightrope walk that way.
So was it the story? Did you read the book, or did somebody, obviously I know you got people coming at you all the time with, like, hey, this is something we should maybe take a look at. Was it one of those things, or?
No, this got sent to me as a script from it had been being developed for like 7 years.
Wow.
At Universal, and then when Scott Stuber went from Universal over to Netflix, he brought it with him.
Cool.
Yeah, it was kind of a pet project for him, and then it got sent to me, and I thought the script was really good, but then I went in and did a ton of work on it over the 2.5 years that we were doing it.
People don't realize that too about you, how great of a writer you are, and you should get your credit on that, because I mean, just give me some of the films that you've written, but then also gone in on and done like other passes on, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I always do passes on the movies I do. Yeah, I mean, Spy, I've got the writing credit on that, and Ghostbusters co-writing with Katie Dippold. But then I kind of you have to when you're a director. You're in charge of everything. I remember, one of the DPs I worked with in the past was saying he DP'd for like an actor who got to direct, and I said, "Oh, how'd that go?" And said, "Well, it was a bummer because they got stuck with a kind of a bad script." And like, you don't get stuck with a bad script as a director. Your job is to fix the script as much as it is just to direct the movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I guess not everybody. I mean, just the same way that maybe like a comic is on stage and deals with they're having a heckler situation, and they're like, well, maybe I'm not equipped to handle that, and they either kick them out or they ignore it, and it's like, well, and then they can, their argument can be, well, I don't do crowd work, or I'm just a comic that wants to do my stuff, and it's like, well, unfortunately, that's also a part of the deal. That that the audience is trusting that you have it under control. So if they're watching you not handle it, does that make sense?
Oh,
right?
totally.
Like
total sense. No, you have to be the complete package. You can't be like, oh, I can't do this and that.
No one's going, oh, the script was bad, and well, he didn't have a chance to change it
trust
or
me.
make it better.
No, the only person that gets blamed if something doesn't work is the director.
Sure.
Oh yeah. But I like that. I like the challenge of that. It just means you got to work really hard. But look, I work with great writers, and so I give my notes to the writers, and they do their pass, and then it's kind of at the end. Then I'll go in and do my stuff, or I'll go in and do something and give it back to them.
Right.
Because I don't like the idea of taking scripts away from writers.
Yeah.
I just think that's shitty. And I also like to have the writers on the set with me.
Does it have to be? Yeah, that's one thing I love that you do. And again, having that collaborative mindset, which I feel like you're so, you really set a nice tone for that. Just on set, you're just always in a sweet, bubbly, horny mood that you're
emphasis on horny.
Yeah. No, you're just so kind, and it really sets the tone for everybody. I mean, like, you talk to me the same way I'm sure you talk to Charlise and Kerry, and it's like, and that just goes a long way and makes people comfortable. Okay. And also allows. And one thing you told me, that, even though, my time was brief, but you did it on The Heat when we first met, where you go, I mentioned this before, where I was talking about maybe doing an accent, and you go, I want you to have all your weapons at your disposal, and like and not have to go through another filter of something.
Totally.
And is that something that you have always kind of preached, and like, did you have that on this movie? And even when we were doing again with my scene, I was like, this whole character thing, and you were like, dude, you are enough, and what you're doing, like, trust me. And it's like, and I didn't fight it, but I just was like, whoa, it was so cool that I was so set on this. And I think it is appropriate to come in with an idea, right?
Oh no, you want somebody to come in with an idea. There's nothing worse.
So you can
shows
change
up
it and
like,
feel
what
better.
Oh yeah, very much so. I'm going to shit all over your idea. I always say, all I do is crush dreams every day. So, no, I'm really hung up on the idea of like, I don't want you having to think about something else other than what you're doing and how to be funny, or what your ad lib might be, or how you're going to surprise the other actor, or just being in the moment. The only actor I think I've ever worked with who I was fine with them doing whatever they wanted accent-wise is Rose Byrne, because she's just so good at it.
Yeah.
And it almost makes her more focused on the character for some reason, because she's such a complete actor that she becomes that person by having that accent. And so I never worry about it with her. But everybody else, I usually try to talk out of it.
Yeah. Do you get? I mean, you've directed now like just so many gangsters and legends in our business that I mean, Kerry Washington and Charlise and Fishburne to me are just like, they're just we have so many greats that you're like, you almost like when he walked up onto the red carpet, I was like, oh fucking yeah, like there's just so many really amazing people that I'm like, man, the Mount Rushmore could be very deep of how many great actors we have. But is there any part of you that I guess fans out a little or gets excited or nervous? Like, is there a different approach versus like obviously versus a Melissa McCarthy versus a Charlize Theron,
right?
But like, and obviously the role and the circumstances are always different. But like, do you sit down and have to like do you watch old movies? Do you like try to figure out things that you want to go? They do this one thing, and I want to maybe get them to not do that.
No. By the time I hire them, I know that I like them as a complete package, and I want their creativity. So I am always nervous. I mean, when a big star shows up, it's you have to play it so cool.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's going on? But yeah, inside you're just like, oh my god, like, please don't look like an idiot in front of Charlize Theron, and Kerry Washington. And I hadn't worked with Lawrence. I didn't know Kerry and Charlize. I'd worked with Charlize on Arrested Development, and then Kerry I'm just friendly with.
Cool.
But Lawrence I'd never met, and so that was really nerve-wracking. But he's the sweetest guy in the world.
Totally.
So I find like most of the stars are just really, really nice. They're there to work, and they respect when you kind of respect their process and want to make them look good. And I'm not the guy who comes, you do this, and I think a lot of directors kind of do that. And so sometimes, certain actors will get a reputation of, oh, they're tough to work with. And I'm always like, yeah, but what were the circumstances? They were tough.
Yeah.
And every time I work with somebody who had that reputation, they've been wonderful, because I'm not coming in going like, it's all about trust. If they don't trust you, then sure, they're going to get weird, because you can make them look. I can make anybody look terrible on screen if I wanted to. Yeah. But why the fuck would I want to do it?
Okay, so the story. So you read the script and you were like, "I dig this. Let me just go in and put some Feig on it." and then what's the and if you're bored in talking about the whole process, we can move on. But I'm just like this was such a big endeavor, and you just crushed it so hard. And so I'm just so curious about all the facets of the beginning to end. So you then. So then it's like, all right, we're going to do this, right? So then you lock in, and then what is kind of the next thing you line up? I mean,
well, you start. I mean, it all kind of happens at the same time. So like, you get it. I go, I want to come on board. Here's the things I want to change, but we kind of start the process, and then in tandem with that is like, okay, I got to get my production designer. I got to get my costume designer.
Yep.
We got to start figuring out what the look of this is, because then I'm going to feed off of that when I'm doing my rewrites and when I'm coming up with new stuff that I want to do, or figuring out what I want to add from the book or take away. They're weighing in at the same time, so it's all kind of moving as a mass of we're inspiring each other as we're going forward, and it's starting to become more clear in my head what it needs to be and what needs to be added and what we don't need.
Is it nice that you have when you're at this level, like you can truly be thinking of almost anything because you know that there's going to be a way to get it done? Does that add to the creative freedom, or?
No, I mean, honestly, the problem is you can't, though. I mean, no matter what budget level you're at, there's stuff you can't do, and you can't get, and I'm constantly being told like, okay, you just add to this is way too expensive. Or, if you want that, then you got to lose this, and so like, so no, I mean, there's nothing worse. I found like in my career, I've had a couple times when you get like a blind script deal, which sounds like the greatest because they're basically saying, well, write what you want. That's the hardest thing in the world because I'd rather somebody go like, okay, you got a bus and, and a donut shop and 4 actors.
Jared from Subway.
Yeah. So, well, there you go. We've got to pull him out.
He needs some acting work.
Let's get him out of prison. But I think those rules and those guardrails are better for creativity, because when you can just the sky's the limit.
Gives you a little more structure.
At least for me.
Totally. And then the effects I know these guys did, Guardians of the Galaxy, Gravity, I think most of the Marvel, some of the craziest effects I feel like, and different too. There's, I don't know if that was intentional. I'm sure it was, but I just felt like I was seeing so many things where I'm like, And then the makeup too. I mean, Sophie, like towards that was like transformation was just so good.
Yeah.
And I love that type of shit. Like it immediately made me think of I guess just seeing a girl get turned in to look like that was remember the movie Witches that Henson did with Angelica Houston, and it was so good and so appropriate for what was happening, and how. Do you immediately go to them for the effects? Was it like, all right, we know we want this to go?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, that's what one of the other members of the team I had to get right away is my VFX supervisor,
right?
Who I got, Eric Norby, who's amazing. You know, and you go into all these movies going like, okay, what? Let's make sure we don't do something or try to do something that hasn't been done before. You know, and so that becomes the hardest part because everything's been done, especially in the superhero world.
Right. So
everything you think you come up with, and it was like, oh no, that was in Doctor Strange. Like, fuck. you know, like, but I had the idea. And I didn't know it, so isn't it now original because I had it without them? They're like, no, everybody's gonna think you ripped that off. It's like, God damn it. So you kind of build that way, and you know, we just have a lot of things that, like, we want to look like this, we don't want to look like this. This one was very, you know, driven by how do we not make this look like Harry Potter, because you know it's about a magical school, so it's going to get the the comparison no matter what.
The what's it wasn't a hawk, but what the bird that came out of that girl's tattoo?
the demon, the flaming demon. Yeah,
that was fucking insane. And also, what I loved about it too is it didn't just. This is when she's trying to kind of intimidate Sophie, and they're kind of getting into it, and at the school for evil, and she's it didn't just like pop out, like it took a minute.
It tears out of her skin.
Yeah, it's like really like as soon as that was happening, I was like, oh, they're taking their time with it, so you can really see it. Which is great because I feel like if it just happened quick, you're like, oh, it almost feels like a lazy effect because it obviously takes more time and effort to see it, like, you know, pushing on the skin and then to break out and then to see what it was crazy.
And that's the kind of thing, like, I mean, you know, how much goes into a moment like that? I mean, you know, first, you know, the idea was, you know, the concept of like, oh, it's going to be under, it's going to rip out, and then just the over and over again, like the skin snapped back too fast. Now it snapped back too slow. Should it cauterize when it goes back? Like how it is, but I love that stuff. It's really fun. But I mean, you're just reviewing that stuff and making micro notes for months and months and months. And you know you're driving a whole team of people somewhere crazy where there's like, fuck him. God damn it. This looks great. And like, what's his problem now? And, you know, so I know Eric hears all that stuff, but you know, I'm the director, so everything gets reported back. Oh no, they're fine. It's like, I know that people are just cursing my name somewhere.
I'm sorry, Eric, but can we get 80 more Bs? It just didn't feel like enough Bs.
Oh no, it's like the lighting's weird. Can you close that hole? And they're like,
but you gotta be, right? I mean, that's that type of perfectionism. I feel like you.
Yeah, and honestly, even I still kind of go like, do we get it? You know, you just never know because you know, I don't know. It's I'm very nervous about that.
Or even talking about how like, you know, you finish it and then you're just like, you know, there's a week later, a day later, that night, you're just like, fuck, added something. Like it's a never. I'm sure that every creative person who's, you know, taken on something like this that really, you know, takes a lot of time and effort has the shoulda, woulda, coulda. Right?
Oh, totally. You always, you know, the phrase in the industry is you don't finish a movie, they just take it away from you, you know, and that's kind of, or you just run out of time.
Whoa.
And that was kind of for us. But I mean, I actually felt really good. I was, you know, I really... You know, you keep wanting to be hard on something. You're kind of like, I don't know if I've got anything else to add to this.
Yeah,
really, you know.
The casting, like I said, was on point. You're involved in all facets. Was that are you writing or do you see people right away when you're doing any project? Or?
Sometimes you do. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always try to write without anybody in mind so I can just make sure the character's right. And I also want to get my heart set on somebody because then if they're, you know, if you tailor it for somebody, then you can't get them.
Let me talk about that for a second because I've heard a lot where people go like writing, you know, maybe TV, whatever, but like with somebody in mind so that you can like write in their voice.
Yeah. And
you'll have a character's loosely based.
You'll have an image of somebody in your voice, in your head when you're writing, and sometimes it's somebody famous, sometimes it's somebody you worked with, sometimes it's an amalgamation of people that you know, sometimes someone from your past. It's all about how can you make sure you're creating a three-dimensional character.
Right.
But yeah, again, you don't want to fall in love with something unless you know this person's under contract, I'm writing specifically for them, then you go the other way. And then it's just like, I go out with them and hang, have dinner and drinks and stuff and go like, I want to get their voice. I want to know their voice, how they talk, and try to show them in a way that an audience hasn't seen them, like we did with like Hemsworth on Ghostbusters and Statham on, well, although Statham and Spy was just like, how can we just take everything you're known for and crank it up to like 1,000?
Holy shit. Did he even, couldn't have been an audition, or was it? Is there a tape out there of him?
No. I mean, actually in this very room that we're sitting at, he came in and I just like to have them one at a time kind of just read through their lines so I can hear if it sounds right.
Yeah.
And he's like, so he sat down and goes like, should I try to be funny? I said, like, Jason, treat this like this is the most serious movie you've ever made. He's like, oh, okay, I got it. And he just started reading it. Every line he read, it was Melissa and I were here. We were just on the floor. And so he read every single line. And then I was like, Jason, put the script away. Don't look at it again until we get to the set. It's perfect.
Wow.
But then we just knew we were going to write a bunch of other jokes for him,
Yeah, his delay.
Did.
And that's such great direction because he was so fucking funny.
Yeah.
But I almost in that way where you're like, oh, I don't know if this character realizes he's being that funny because he is trying to deliver it straight, and you're like, don't go for the joke. Almost. I mean, totally. I think he's got a sense of like,
oh no, he's funny. He's got. I mean, look, you see the Crank movies,
of course.
He knows he's funny.
1,000%.
Yeah, totally. I mean, those movies are so fucking bananas. That honestly made me go, okay, he's going to kill in this because he's so funny in those movies. But it's because it's crazy.
And that Spy, I know for my short time over there was over in Budapest, and that was just there or all over Europe as well?
No, we were all in Budapest except we'd splintered off into Rome and to Paris just for like literally connective tissues, the car driving past the Colosseum, that kind of thing.
And School for Good and Evil was mostly
Belfast. We did additional photography to shoot that opening, the battle between the two brothers, and we shot that actually back in Budapest, and then shot in LA for some of the stuff that we did with you, and then we were somewhere. Oh, then in London we shot just a couple of things in London.
Do you is it one of those things? How like you hear that Sandler will take certain projects so that Blended, we can go to take his family to Africa or do Grown Ups in the East Coast, and so they can have all his buddies be, or just go with it in Hawaii, which smart to do stuff where you can go. Yeah. Is that ever a part of the or is it just like this makes the most sense? I'm always curious why certain locations, especially overseas, get picked.
Well, it always comes down to tax reasons. Yeah, what kind of tax break you can get, but it's also you're like, oh cool, like when I did the movie Last Christmas,
so good by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my God,
thank you. Well, when that came in, it was just like, my wife had been wanting to live in London forever, and she and I both love it. And I was supposed to do a movie that shot in L.A., and she was kind of like bummed out because she likes to go to location. And so Emma Thompson out of the blue sent me that script, and I was like, oh, I love this script, and hey, guess what? We can actually live in London for a year. And so she was happy, and I enjoyed it. And
wait, so you got to break when you broke that to Lori? Was she just like?
Oh, she was so happy.
I mean, holy shit.
Although now she won't leave.
Oh, yeah, because you guys have been over there for a
minute. No, now she says, I'm never coming back to L.A., and I'm living in London now. I was like, oh, okay, well, I still have my company in L.A., so I will live in London sometime with you.
Adam can't fly to do the podcast just for a day, babe. We have to.
That's right.
Yeah, there's things I have to do here.
But we love it there. It's fantastic.
It is. I studied abroad there when I was at SC. I think I told you that in 2004. And yeah, I mean, I get it, dude. It's also, I don't know, you've been out here for a while. The hustle and bustle. I was just literally talking to a comic about this yesterday about when we both go home to Seattle, it's kind of our reset button.
Yeah.
And our break from the action because, for me at least, I immerse myself in my family and try to be, my mom's always like, you got to sleep more. You're just like helping your sister. You're picking up the kids. You're doing all this stuff. I'm like, well, that's also like fun for me and a distraction, but I didn't come up here just to like sleep and be a veg. I like want to do stuff I'm not doing here because man, I mean, and I'd like to hear your take on this, but like it's a blessing and a curse being in LA because I know you as well, feed off the energy of being in the city. And like, there's just, I mean, looking at your view, it's just like, how do you not go like, fuck, I mean, we're right in the middle of it. Yeah. But then on the flip side, it's like, yeah, you can get tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And I'm sure London gives you a little bit of a break from the action.
Very. I mean, if you're lucky enough, and I'm lucky enough because we don't have kids, also, and and things are going well at the moment. Could change any second, as we all know.
Actually, just got a text, Paul.
Am I out of showbiz? I knew it. Dang it! I kept waiting.
Hollywood just sent me a group text.
Me, Statham. Tell your mom I'm on my way to Seattle. Exactly. Take the kids.
She
to
would
school.
love that, by the way. Don't you joke about that on air.
Exactly.
She will have a bed made and a soup bowl on the bed.
Done.
Yeah.
No, but I lived in LA for 40 years.
Yeah.
Just straight through after coming from Michigan. And, spent a lot of time kind of like, I hate LA, blah, blah, blah. But then you kind of like it, and the business is here and all that. But then having gone away for 4 years, basically, doing these 2 movies that I did there, when I come back, I'm like, I kind of love LA now. Like, it's really fun to be back, But then I have a place in New York too, so I'm able to bounce all over the place. And I'm very, very lucky. But if in a perfect world, if you can kind of be different places, so you never wear one place out, that's the ultimate way to go.
Of course.
But it's a very bougie way to live too.
Have you assimilated to the cultures of London? I remember when I was studying abroad there, most of the Americans in my program couldn't help themselves to develop little, English affectations and like cheers, and you're just like, you're from Rancho Cucamonga, Gary.
I know. Well, I can't tell you how many people say to me, when I come back there, I'm so surprised you don't have a British accent. I'm like, how big of a fucking asshole would I be if I was suddenly like, oh, hello, Adam. Yes, I'm back. It's like, really? But
11 a.m. sounds just splendid for the podcast.
But then when they say that, I go, so you would actually be cool if I suddenly was talking like a fake Brit? Which I know I would just talk like Terry Thomas, anyway, which is a really old reference. I say, yes, hello.
All right, well, now there's going to be a nice collection of people online that are going to...
look up your Terry Thomas the videos on YouTube.
Who would love... Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, well, isn't that like kind of what Madonna and Johnny Depp more or less have done?
Totally. I mean, remember when Madonna came back, we all thought she was insane.
Yeah.
So it's like, really, do I get a free pass if I show up as a now 60-year-old man who has a completely new accent? Yeah. Really? You'd be cool with that.
Burgess, he just did this, not to butcher it, but he just did this funny bit about Madonna, so about funny. Her being, I think she's dating a young guy, or the pictures she's posting that are really sexual, and her being like, I think close to maybe 75, 80. I don't know. But he goes, everyone's always like, oh, 80's new 40. He goes, no, it's not. It's fucking 80. He goes, you're old. He goes, you were the most fuckable person on the planet for 3 decades. Wasn't that enough?
Exactly.
Like just that idea. I don't know.
Burgess, the one comedy routine in this world that I runs through my head more than anything is Burgess's, the stages of acceptance of having to take a shit on an airplane.
Oh, my
Every time
God.
I'm on an airplane, that routine comes up because occasionally you're like, oh no, I can't possibly do this.
Oh, I literally just had to. Burr is a master, and I literally just had to. Turn 40 in June, and I was talking about just like the different ways maybe you get treated in certain ways, just that you feel older or people more attentive to, like, are you okay? And I got on this plane and I was in the bathroom. I go, for no more than 90 seconds, and the flight attendant comes by and goes, is everything okay in there? And I go, yeah, bitch. I go, you served me eggs on a plane that were microwaved, and surprise, they didn't fucking sit well. So if I want to, drop those oxygen masks, be a hero, but like...
if it was going well, it's not going well now that you knocked on the door and clenched me
also,
up.
I'm trying to figure out how to take a shit in a airborne coffin that's not big enough for the size of a person. Like, it's almost like they don't want you to go in there because they're like, try to get comfy.
Oh, definitely. No. My favorite story of all time, and I want to make a movie, a la Steaks on the Plane, about this, but you never could. Do you remember that there was a flight, they were like an hour into the flight, and somebody took a shit in the bathroom that was so horrendous, they had to turn the plane around and do an emergency landing. It stunk up the place so bad.
Oh.
And so every time I think maybe I'll pull it off, it's like, oh no, I'm going to be the guy.
No. Oh my God. Yeah. What is it? Is it, well, there's so many like then meme snakes on a plane, shits on a plane, whatever it is. That's crazy. When was that?
That was like a few years. I mean, it was probably 5 or 6 years ago now.
As far as poop related news stories go, I feel like I'm up to date. Like the last one I feel like that really was big was that cruise ship that where it was, it was all the power went out, the food, right? Everything. And then everybody was shitting, but there was no sewage system. So like and I think the
mounting up.
Yeah. And then so everything smelled like shit, but I think also like something happened where the boat,
everything sloshed over.
Everybody got covered in shit. I remember like people posting pictures, being like, "I'm covered." Yeah.
My biggest recurring nightmare. I have 2 recurring nightmares, the theme of them.
Please.
One is that I'm up super high on something and I'm unstable. I'm going to fall off it.
1,000%.
But the biggest one is I'm always going into the worst bathroom in the world with no shoes or socks on, and the toilet's full over. I have to walk through shit, and just like, and it happens all the time. I always wake up like, what the fuck is in my head that makes this happen?
Yeah, we should figure this out. You got some really good weed. We should also Google. There's those dream
I think we all know people that are just like, I'll tell you what that dream means, right? Like you're like, there's books, there's things where you can break down or I guess analyze, but I'd be curious to know, Mo, do you mind looking that up? What if you're dreaming about walking into a bathroom with no shoes? But that also is the reality of that is, fuck.
Well, I'm just put off by shit and everything.
Me too. Also, like, why is a bathroom floor ever so wet? Like, what happened in there where somebody needed to truly just
let it go?
Let it go. Leave the faucet.
Well, guys get into a bathroom and they think it's a fucking free for all. If it's a public bathroom, it's just like, is it the greatest thing a guy can do is to piss all over his sink, the seat? It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Please, what we got?
It signifies your desire to release all the tension you feel in your waking life.
Oh, wow. Boy, really? I don't know if I buy that.
Yeah, me neither.
Who came up with that?
Did you read that on JambaJuice.com? I feel like that's not a verified site to...
Oh, tell me my dream.net.
Oh, okay, well.
There you go. Isn't that my dating app? Can I launch two? I always said if I was a stand-up, I have two bits I want to...
please.
No, it's not a bit. I shouldn't say it. I just, in the world of shit, there's two terms that I always want to make popular.
Yes.
My wife will kill me. One is a broken arrow, which means when you take a shit, but you don't get it all out.
Yep.
There's more in there, but you can't get rid of it.
Yes.
And then the other is fanfare, when you go in a public restroom and you take a shit, but first all that loud gas comes out. And you're like, I thought I could get away with this. So that's fanfare.
It's all the trumpets, all the celebration, but no,
exactly. So there you go, everybody. Please put broken arrow and fanfare into your
everyday vernacular.
Glossary. Right.
Oh my God. I mean, is there ever a world where you go, all right, I've hit all my my career highlights where the state, like, do you ever, like, I just did a show at a store last night. Kevin Bacon was there. Met him randomly.
Saw your picture.
Man, it was the coolest. I even then fanned out to him and I told him, it was cool because there was this great crowd work moment where a guy in the crowd, and I was talking to, and he goes, I like to do a lot of crowd interaction, and he goes, somehow got on like, oh, do you smoke weed? Oh, well, when I used to play music, oh, I still play music. I'm in a band. Oh, you play bass. What's the name of your band? Boxcar. I go, what's one of your big hits? And he goes, Arms Around Me. I go, oh, hell yeah, that's the. I go, do you mind if I take a stab at what I think Arms Around Me sounds like? Everyone laughs and starts clapping. So I'm like, awesome. It's a great crowd, fully on board for me to just improvise a song. And it's just about a 90-second, all over the place. I'll send you the clip.
I gotta see that.
And it was like, and then at the end of it, I somehow found the rhyme to then get to with all arms all around me till I get, and that got the big whatever. And I was like, you guys were waiting for me, just fucking rhyme the chorus, man, get to it. And Bacon afterwards was like, so did you have that song like ready in your head? Wow. And I was like, no, I never met that guy before. And then his buddy was like, you don't just have songs ready just in case that happens? I go, I hope you understand how crazy that question sounds, but like also thank you for thinking that was pre-planned.
I know, really.
But it was so spontaneous, but then I said to Bacon, I go, I loved, and I want to know if this happens to you, where he did a movie called The Air Up There, where it was about an NBA scout that went to Africa. Loved it. Big basketball fan. Thought he was great. I think he's just one of those guys that is always great and solid. And he was like, oh, deep cut. And then his daughter told me, he's like, yeah, he does certain movies, like he just is like, oh, like looks back, I guess, with like,
why wasn't it a hit?
Yeah. And also like, oh, it doesn't almost like when it gets brought up that people love it because he also was just like, that was the past and I've done so much cooler shit.
Right.
And does that ever happen with you when people fan out on certain things, or that you're like, oh, that still maybe gets at me because I'm like, oh, we didn't have a certain way to finish or make it as good as we could have?
No, for more, it's when you're talking to a director, you know this, everyone. When people come up and say, oh my God, my favorite movie of yours is the one you did 7 movies ago, you're always kind of like, oh, okay, thanks. And it's cool. Everybody loves Bridesmaids, and I love that. And trust me, I'm happy when anybody likes anything. But you are kind of like, did you see Simple Favor? Did you like that?
Yes, I'm glad you said that. Yeah, because it is you're like, well, if you love that, then that clearly means that you're on board with what I'm doing, and you probably follow. Yeah. So why, like, bring up the most recent thing?
And you feel shitty, like, complaining about it at all. But it just sometimes, like, when somebody comes out, like, oh, I love Spy is my favorite movie, or like, I love Last Christmas. You're like, oh yeah, you almost want to embrace them. Like, thank you, thank you. Something I did recently.
Yeah, and you know what it is too. It just goes back to that, like, certain movies connect with people in a certain way to where it's like, obviously, like, you have spanned the gamut with like having a movie for everybody. It's like, and again, I don't know if that's like a conscious choice where you're like,
I definitely want to. I want to hit the
because
widest.
going from Bridesmaids to
audience I
Simple
can.
Favorite to Spy, I mean, like all so different, and now School for Good and Evil, like so different from
Yeah.
anything you've done.
Yeah,
and
totally.
that has to be as you're picking projects a little part of the.
Yeah, I always look for something different, a new challenge. I mean, sometimes I go, I don't know if it's even smart career-wise, because, it's like, I'm a big Joe Jackson fan, but I always remember like when like suddenly the third album was completely different from the second album, and he would always change up. And as a fan back then, I'd be frustrated by that, but now I go like, oh, that's so fucking cool, but so you got to kind of walk this line of, I don't want to subvert people's expectations or feel like them to feel like I'm going like, well, you like that? Well, fuck you. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they all feel like the same movie to me, If so many people were like, the School for Good and Evil is such a departure. I go, it's just freaks and geeks with magic,
Wow.
At the end of the day, if you look at it. But playing in different genres is super fun. I love it.
Well, which is why Poo Plane is obviously
Poo Plane,
the next
here it
move.
comes, exactly.
Here it comes, by the way. Oh my God. With the
did it.
plane, I don't know if it's landing, and it's everybody freaking, because you see those like Final Destination posters where everyone's freaking out. So it's something like that, but maybe it's they can't get the bathroom door open.
No, the oxygen masks won't come down, so that's the problem.
Poo Plane, not a bad
Poo Plane,
title.
I think it can be on a double bill with Con Air.
It's Con Air with poop. That's the pitch.
Exactly.
And Cage has to be in it.
Oh my God, totally. Yeah, totally.
Is there a guy or gal out there where you're like, I want to jam with that? Like, do you have a wish list of people that you want to jam with as you keep going?
Yeah, totally.
Every director
yeah.
does, right?
Yeah, but I don't dare say it because I don't want to put off the people
Of course.
who aren't on the list.
Of course. Now, jokingly about Poo Plane.
Yes.
And hearing you say, like, selfishly, that's something you're like, I want to, like, now.
I don't know if I could get 2 hours out of that movie.
I was just going to say, like, you can say it, you say it, and I know that you are joking, but also being a creative person, there's a part of you that then I'm sure has to take a step back and analyze, like, all right, if I was going to, right? Have you given any actual thought to, like.
No, it's impossible. There's no possible way to make that movie.
Like, maybe you're like, Paul, there's actually a market. You're like,
we got to
hey,
get
man.
this motherfucking poo off this motherfucking plane. Exactly. Maybe we really stock it up. Make it like, an airport movie.
But also, like, I mean, a plane, I know Unaccompanied Minors was, that you did is airport plane based.
Yes,
but
it is, and a giant hit.
But you love that movie.
God.
But
that one almost ended my career. But thank you.
you've told me that. You said it put you in movie jail.
Yes, it did.
Which is so crazy.
Sorry, I cut you off. On
No,
another
please.
thought.
Yeah, I was on a Poo Plane tangent. But
I'm just trying to make sure nobody else steals this poo plane idea.
not that you want to crush the idea of it getting any forward motion.
Exactly.
You just don't want anybody to take it.
Poo poo platter.
But is there? But also, like, you haven't done a true comedy on just a plane, like
No.
right?
No.
I remember talking to
Oh, wait, I mean, Bridesmaids had a big plane.
right, but I'm saying like one that truly like an
Right.
Air Force One or a
Yeah.
airplane. I'm saying
Not
something
yet.
that's only like on, and I don't know if that is like appealing or not appealing. Like,
Well, I just think Airplane did it so well
Okay,
that
great.
you just kind of go like, why would I even?
I love you for saying that.
Dip into that.
I talked to some of your execs a while back. It was after I went on the New Kids on the Block cruise with our buddy Joey McIntyre, and I opened for them and then hung out on this cruise with 3,000 plus drunk, crazy New Kids fans of all ages. Got propositioned by a 7-year-old woman who we were taking tequila shots with on the Lido deck at like 2 a.m. And she goes, I saw that you're friends with the band. I saw you following the band around. And I go, oh yeah? And she goes, this is my 20th cruise. She goes, I love these guys. And I know you're friends with them. And I go, that's awesome. I go, they're great. Can't wait for the show tomorrow. It's going to be a blast. And she goes, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. You show me where Donnie Wahlberg's sleeping and I'll fuck him for you.
Oh,
Verbatim. And I go,
Real?
Have you ever negotiated before? I go, what do I get out of
I
this?
just say like, the satisfaction of knowing you hooked Donnie up.
I'll let you smell my fingers. All right, you got yourself a deal. But after that cruise, I hadn't been on a concert cruise before.
Right.
And so I'm sitting down with Dan and a couple of your sweet peeps, and just telling them stories. And we all just kind of then were like, man, like just fantasizing about and talking about a cruise ship comedy.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of opened this idea of like, oh man, how many comedies where truly that it's got to be in one place the whole time.
Yeah.
Feels challenging, and also just haven't seen it a ton. So is that something that is ever unappealing or appealing to you, like being in one spot? Are you always
No, I mean if it works, I mean, Die Hard's basically kind of a one location movie, and it works great. So there's something great about being trapped somewhere and having to get out, and but I always need to figure out how I can make it funny.
Right.
But no, I would love that. I'm up for any challenge as long as the idea is great. Uh-oh, here he goes.
idea for movie? Paul has greenlit the comedy cruise ship comedy.
Yes.
It'll be a spinoff from Pooh Plane. It'll be Pooh Ship.
There you go.
And
Otherwise known as Speed 3.
oh my God, Speed 3. Wait, was there a Speed 3?
No, there's Speed 2, which on a cruise ship was so funny because...
Oh my God.
Just because the first Speed was so great because it was so fast. And they go, a cruise ship isn't that fast,
Slowing it down.
I'm sure it's great. I've not seen it. So,
Speed 4 on a bird scooter. Yeah.
on the back of a sloth.
Hey guys, Adam Ray here for the About Last Night podcast, and I'm sitting down because I got some big news. Usually I'm standing up to do comedy, but I'm sitting down now because I got the deal of a lifetime. First of all, sitting is bad for you. We all know that, whether we're sitting on planes or sitting on a beanbag chair watching porn in front of our kids. There's just too much damage you do on the body. Thankfully, Axion has come up with a chair that allows your pelvis to move the way it does while you walk. So all 33 vertebrae align into perfect posture. The result? Better breathing, better blood flow, and relief from the pain. It's crazy what you can do when you set your body to do it. Now, these guys are homies of mine. My buddy Dennis worked with the Clippers as their doctor for 27 years. He runs a wellness center called Peak Wellness. He's a fucking gangster and has saved me from surgery numerous times. I actually met Justin Bieber at his place. And I was in my boxers getting cupping done, and Bieber and I locked eyes, and I was like, this is how we were supposed to meet. And Bieber smiled, and I never saw him again. But this chair is a game changer. It's changed the way I live. It's changed the way I breathe, the way I sit. And you guys right now can get that chair for 25% off using the promo code ALN25 at all33.com. Go to all33.com and use promo code ALN25 for 25% off this chair. It's incredible. You got to get it. It's the only chair out there to get. We will be getting them for the studio, but don't take my word for it. Check out this video.
At All33, we've always pushed to reimagine the way we work. That's why we designed our revolutionary sit-in-motion technology to help people perform and feel their best. Then all of a sudden, the whole world was free to rethink how we work, and especially where we work. And as Americans came home, so did we. We approached the design of our chairs with a person and planet-first mindset. That's why we chose to build them here in the United States. Manufacturing in the US means we're able to have eyes on every step of the process. From material sourcing to part production to testing, even shipping. And we're able to recycle materials, use less energy, and reduce our carbon footprint. We've built the healthiest chairs you will ever sit in to keep you and the world moving. Because movement makes things happen.
Heavy friendship themes in the movie were, and I know you're saying like freaks and geeks with magic, like we're so, I know a lot of my buddies' kids sent me so many messages saying that they like were very vocal about like loving that part of it.
Oh, I love
and how, I guess in the casting, needing the gals to really feel like, I don't know how much time was spent on them getting to know each other.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to do a chemistry read when you're going to match up two, leads like that. But we were casting during the pandemic. And so I was doing all the casting over Zoom.
Oh, shit.
And what happened was when we decided on them, we need to do a chemistry read, you had to do it on Zoom, which was crazy. But then I was like, okay, if they have chemistry over Zoom, then it's going to come flying off the screen.
1,000%.
And they did. They had this amazing chemistry on this Zoom call where they were doing the scenes together. And it was just like, wow, that really worked.
Is there a point when you're adding more to the script and just in the process of making the film where, you just see maybe an opportunity or a hole for like, we need to like, there's got to be more of a pull apart for them to come together. Is that like being worked on as you're going, or is everything pretty much set like once you
Well,
start
that's all kind of hard baked into the book.
Yeah.
So you kind of that story, but just how to do it most effectively
Yeah.
and economically and all that. But you always want, the biggest thing is you got to get people to invest in that friendship. It was the same thing in Bridesmaids. Like you wanted to be so in love with that friendship that when it started to fall apart, your whole goal is like, oh my God, we want to repair the friendship. We want you guys back together again. So
you did right away.
Yeah, exactly.
The premiere, was that fun? Do you like?
Oh my God, that was a fun premiere.
You guys went all over.
But I mean, the LA one, LA one, I've never. That's the biggest response I've ever had to a movie. They were going crazy. They were cheering.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and I wanted to ask you right after that, like, because I know you work the carpet well. You're so like, you're great with interviews. You're funny. You're like, again, it's like you represent your projects well, which is like when I would see you doing press for Heat, Spy, Simple Favor, like, and you're going on all these talk shows. I'm like, I feel like it's rare to see also a director, but also, you just have a comics brain to be out there doing it to sell your shit well, but also be, in a space where it's like people are looking for you to be. Yeah. You're not telling stories. They're just like, this really funny thing happened where, you're never going to believe it. So Bobby Cannavale, so he had to pee and we said, hold it. And he was like, fuck you, Paul. He wanted to be there.
And we stood around. He's like,
yeah.
No, I mean, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
No, here's the thing I know is that any talk show, any press person, brain goes completely dead when they hear they're going to have a director. Like nobody knows what a director does. Sure. And I think we're just known for being boring or whatever. So I'm just like, I was a stand-up comedian for years too. So just like if they're going to have me on the show, I got to fucking give them something. And I love it. It's my favorite thing. You can tell, I love it because you work so hard on a movie and it takes so long. This was 2.5 years working on this movie. It's like when you finally get to promote it, that's the fun part. I'm almost bummed out because now we don't have press tours like we used to have. We used to be flown all over the world. Yeah. And that was a blast. I loved it.
You did. When was the last one, I guess, that you guys...
God, I mean,
Bridesmaids and Spy, Heat, you guys did a bunch.
Ghostbusters, we went everywhere with that. So that was kind of cool.
Holy shit.
And then Simple Favor, we did some stuff like Paris and all that. But no, now it's, it's all kind of over Zoom and video links and stuff. So it's a bummer. You don't kind of get that cool thing of getting. I like going to Australia and promote movies, especially comedies. Like it's such a big market for comedies. But they really like it if you show up. They know if you show up.
And the so the carpet and the interview stuff's all fun. But when you're sitting then in the theater, is it like same thing? You're just like seeing all these people. You're just jazzed for people to see it. Yeah. But and like you said earlier, like still not knowing what the response like. You probably know confidently at this point people aren't going to boo and leave.
Right, yeah. We do enough test screenings to know where the laughs are. But then a movie like this it varies more than a normal comedy because people don't know if they're supposed to laugh in these movies, and sometimes. But this was just nice because it was, that theater is gigantic.
Unbelievable.
The Village in Westwood. Yeah. I think it holds like 1,000 people or something. Yeah. And, we had our, whatever cast was there and people involved with the movie, but we were way outnumbered by fans and people who had won contests and all
awesome,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
all dressed up.
700 or 800 of the people were there. So to hear them just going bananas, I mean.
Yeah,
we've never had that. We've never had that big of a response for this movie.
Did you get choked up? Like, what does it do to you?
I got completely choked up. No, I just kept looking at my wife like, oh my God, like they're, the target audience is really buying into it.
Which bodes well for once it hit Netflix, but also like, I don't know, man, I can't imagine, spending that much time, energy, effort that you've single-handedly, again, collaboratively, but you yourself poured into it. So to hear that response is like, what you do it for, right?
Yeah, totally. No, totally. But that's why it's so devastating if a movie bombs or doesn't do well because you've put all this, your whole life into these things, and then, and critics love to shit all over stuff if they can. And so, and so when especially when you get those reviews where like clearly they're just having fun, making fun of your movie and you're like, dude, like I fucking worked so hard on this. I know. All these people work so hard on this, don't feel sorry for us, but at the same time, like, we didn't just like knock this out in an afternoon just for you to make jokes about.
Yeah, all art is subjective, right? And it's just like, even with comedy, when people, if they come up, will give a backhanded compliment after a show, like, my husband really likes you, but sorry, I've never heard of you.
Oh my God.
But you were pretty funny. And you're like, cool. You probably could have just said the last part.
Yeah. Don't need to tell me all that stuff.
Didn't need all the other extra extraneous info, but also, or if they, I've had, Karens come up to me and be like, you shouldn't talk about, because I definitely lie. I feel like on the right side of history politically, but I try to. I don't do just Trump jokes. I got some for both, but people that come up to you that don't like even your, even like me poking fun at this whole thing about the first ladies and how they got to all come up with a slogan that really unifies the country at some point. And Michelle Obama went hard in the paint with they go low, we go high, and everybody was like, fucking yeah, nice shoulders, MB, right? And then Melania Trump's like, be best, and everybody was like, what, and then. I think did you leave some words off? Let us know the full sentence in the morning, whatever. Maybe Trump was in the wings staring her down. And this woman came up to me just on that and was just like, you shouldn't make fun of Melania. And I was like, is that what you took from that?
Yeah.
Also, I'm just repeating what was.
Yeah. You're making fun of her by what you're hearing as an insult.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The lady in the audience.
Yeah.
Because she's no, I know. People get, the worst thing you can say to, the second worst thing you can say to a director, the worst thing is like,
the worst thing
your
is
movie
poop
sucked.
will never work.
Yeah, exactly. No, your movie sucked. I hated your movie. That's the worst. But when
that happens, huh? Straight up, just brutal.
Not that much,
No,
but it can on the internet, of course.
Of course,
people love to tell you how much.
Well,
they
the
hate your
internet's
movies.
really a great place.
It really is. It's really, thank you, Elon, for making it. I love the fact that he thought Twitter wasn't enough free speech. All it is fucking free speech.
1000%.
Giving me shit about Ghostbusters. What the hell? No, but the worst thing, people come and go like, oh, it was cute. It's like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? Really cute? I made the first movie I made in my career was this thing called I Am David, about a kid who's in a communist labor camp and he has to escape and get all across Europe to find his mother, and it's all harrowing and stuff. And on some message board, somebody goes, oh, I saw that. It was a cute movie. It's like, really? God, cute's the one you want to pull out?
Yeah.
So don't say cute to a director, unless they made like an anime movie that's, with bunnies and
well, in my
Hello
defense,
Kitty.
cute was my word that I was using a lot at the time, and I felt like it was the appropriate way to dissect what I saw. So.
All right. I'll let you get away with it. Because you're cute.
Thank you. Did you hear that, Mo?
There you go. I saw your act, Adam. It was really cute.
Yeah. oh my God.
See? Now the tables turn.
So triggering. You celebrated an anniversary recently.
Yes.
You and Lori. Congrats.
28 years together.
You guys are
Married.
amazing.
Thank you.
Relationship goals. I just got married. Any advice?
Yes.
I've asked all my married friends, not all, the ones that I feel like actually have advice.
Yeah.
Some give advice that even I asked Bacon last night, and he goes, no, everybody's different. Just, figure it out, be good to each other, and it's something else. And then my stepdad, George, goes, it's two very important words.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, dear.
Oh, there you go. It's the dad jokes.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Love the flaws.
Love the flaws.
Yep.
Great advice.
Like that.
And you guys laugh a lot too, which I feel like is
a lot of laughs.
kind of, I feel like almost an obvious answer, but love the flaws.
And you have to be able to be apart. You have to be able to be apart on your own and not, and there must be trust, obviously.
Yeah.
But you have to be, couples that are tied at the hip. I mean, it can work, but in general, it's always kind of burns hot and then it kind of burns out.
Got to have your own thing. And
just don't be codependent.
Be good with space,
You can avoid it, yeah.
Before we wrap this up, got about 10 more minutes. Is that cool?
I'll bring it on, man. I could talk to you all day.
Paul, you're the fucking best.
You're the best,
Mo, by the way, he's been around for pretty much all my pods, and he was very fired up for today.
Oh, well, thank you, Mo.
He's a big fan.
Thank you.
He's got a Paul Feig tattoo on. Well, I'll let him show it to you.
No,
oh, you went in the abs. So I thought you were going to.
We still have a
he goes down full body. What were you gonna say?
In our little kitchenette, we've still got one. I've got your mug from, when you did it with Brad.
Yes.
Well,
Brad's under the table if you want to say hello.
Oh, hey, Brad.
Yeah. Brad is a little person if you don't know that, but you listen to the pod, so you know that.
Yes.
Brad, what did he just post? He's so funny. He's just always quick with the jokes. He just posted on my picture of Bacon. He goes, what did he say? He goes, I got to read this. He goes, I had a podcast with Adam Ray, who was in a selfie with Kevin Bacon. Because, everybody there's all sorts of 6 degree jokes. Brad's a gangster.
Well, Adam, I'm always going to be a fan of MADtv.
Oh my God. Please tell, now that we're here live, because there's a point, it's probably the most engaged and favored thing by people that I respect very much so. I've become buds with John Mayer. He adores them, has even sent me a few of his own. He also has an issue with me being at malls all the time. He's like, I don't understand when you have a choice to be still and lay down somewhere.
He's clearly never been a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
It's all we do is kill time at malls.
Exactly. And I'm like, John, there's so much. There's, first of all, great people watching.
Right.
It's like a way to, when I want to get out of the hotel for a day and not, go to,
But see people and get, taking
and
stimulus.
then maybe I need a fresh T-shirt, or like, I was in Madison, Wisconsin. I found some great boots, and there was a guy who ran a little nut stand, and he told me about all the different types of nuts for way too long. But I bought like 6 bags of cashews. But what do you enjoy about? What is it? Because your comments are always so great, and they fill me with so much joy. And then I started being like, well, now I'm making them for Paul, because like now I really got to get. Well,
there's a bunch of things I love about it. First of all, the announcer voice is so spot on. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I try to mix up, and even if it is there's a Spanish style place, I try to always have it match.
You get that. Your pronunciation is
Thank
great.
you.
It's your choice of cast members makes me laugh so hard. And then it's just the reveal. It's like, what is the story going to be? And it's also people impassively walking past your camera as you're clearly standing there doing something really loud.
Oh, and sometimes knowing, once I lock in on what I'm going to say, which is pretty quick, which is why I'm also like, I don't want to think about it too long. But I also am like, did you repeat? Did you already say Tom Everett Scott in last week's episode of, Hot Lunch or Hot Bucks? But then it's like, there's sometimes I'll do 3 or 4 takes in a row to just, because also it's trying to get it timing wise in the 15 or whatever seconds for the story. And there's been people who've been sitting there, I'll look down, watching me the whole time. And I had one woman at one point be like, your language is very crude, because I was just like, I think it was, one was like,
some of yours are very dirty.
Yeah, totally. But it's for a specific audience. But I don't think my mom's a huge fan of them. But she's like, what is a butt fuck principle? I was like, Mom, this get off Instagram, please. Do you have things like that in your life that are, I know I was asking about like YouTube rabbit holes, but like you're like, I want to shut down. Like, will you go to the Grove, or in London, is there a place where you're like, I'm going to go, my school, the British, American Drama Academy was up the street from Camden Town, which is a nice strip of shops and little restaurants and dive spots. But is there?
I walk all over London. I mean, we live in Chelsea now, so my favorite thing is central London, and I take a big walk from Chelsea into central London and go up and down Jermyn Street, which is where, the men's fashions are. And then, then I go up and down Bond Street where all the fancy stores are and look at that. And then I'll stop somewhere. Yeah. So, sit, during the summertime, sit outside at a cafe like on St. James's Street and all that stuff. And so I'm always kind of in motion like a shark, because I'm all just kind of looking for stimulus and, and things, ideas to write and all that. And it's just fun to be out and about. So
you get a lot of, I love that. There's Gerard Carmichael used to tell me that about the comedian, when he would write a lot by walking like to the Comedy Store from where he lived, which is about an hour and change away. But he was like, I enjoy, it's like, it's such a freeing. So you're what, coming up with ideas, right? Just thinking it's like
you're observing people, you're looking at, things as you go, and kind of people against different environments. All I do is kind of walk around and wait for the synapses to kind of connect, so you go in, because you never know when that idea hits you, and when it does, and it doesn't happen very often, but when suddenly you have that like, oh my God, I got it, I know what I want to do. Yeah. So I think I just kind of like a vampire looking for that,
Are you already, were you able to enjoy like the success and enjoying, or is it almost like the high of the pills and of the applause and everybody the next morning? Was it like, what next?
Well, no, as a movie's coming to an end, as you're getting towards the end of the process, you start to panic of like, okay, what's next? Because I don't generally have the next thing lined up. I usually kind of have an idea what.
Because you don't want to distract yourself with.
No, but also then you kind of if you line stuff up too much in advance, once you're finished with the project, sometimes you're like, I don't think I want to do that anymore. It's
also what opportunities are coming your way because of how this is now playing out, right?
Totally. You want to be open to those if they show up, but also then the terror of like, if you don't have anything lined up and then nothing shows up.
Wow.
So you don't quite know what to do. And then also beat yourself up about like, I want to have an original idea, because my favorite thing is to write an original thing, like I did with The Spy and all that, but sometimes it's just not there. You're kind of like, I don't know, and I want to work. I don't want to sit around. And, take a chance on.
You do love
not
working.
I
It's
love
like-
working.
yeah.
I will work until I drop dead.
I love that. All right. Well, before we wrap this up, I had one other question here.
Yes.
Favorite part about movie making at this point, because you've done so much. Is there one aspect to it all that is, I guess maybe, other than the whole process beginning to end, like just one, and it can be a handful of things too that you just really.
Well, I love working with actors. I love that's the fun. You spend all this time writing and getting something ready to go and getting people to finance it or getting a studio interested and doing all this prep. And then when you get to the set, that's where the magic needs to happen, And so that's why I always try to make it so we don't have to be on such a tight schedule. We have to rush through it so we can play around, like you and I have done a bunch of times. So that's fun, that interaction with the cast. But then it's also really nerve-wracking when you're making a movie because during production, all you say is, today's the day I could completely fuck it up, no matter how well it's been going. So by the time when you wrap and you have all the pieces in your editing room, that's when I really I don't relax. I'm like, oh, thank God we've got everything. And I don't think I fucked it up too badly.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll find out you need more stuff. But the editing process is really fun too.
Yeah. I mean, that's where it's all comes together, right?
Yeah, totally.
And I've said this to you before and bragged about it right after my scene. But the way too that you have such a clear vision, I think, is huge, right? I would say I'm sure you give advice to young directors all the time, but I feel like you're open to stuff, which is great, which I think you got to be. But then when we were playing around, you also gave me the freedom to come in with ideas again, like I was saying, and then crush them, and then but then give me things to think about. You weren't telling me. You never tell somebody what to do, which is really awesome. And you gave me things to think about, and then which is great. And then we would do it, and then didn't also feel like I was ever rushed. So it was like, I think we did,
a lot of takes.
Yeah, a lot of takes. Some would say too many. There's probably people that are in the message boards right now being like, you could tell this guy couldn't nail it. And they had to, edit around.
I don't know. You were very funny.
But I remember just very clearly, and it was so gratifying. And I was telling my mom this right after, and she's like, what's a butt fuck principle? I was like, Mom, I told you, you're not going to get it. Get off the gram.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's more important shit I'm trying to tell you about this movie. And no, she goes, it's so cool that he allows you to find it, and you guys work together to find it. And I go, there was just a moment when we were almost had it, and you were like, I'm gonna do one more, and then you're like, and just you gave me a little adjustment on something, and then we did it, and then you were just like, nailed it, got it, moving on. And it was awesome, because it wasn't also the third take to where it felt like I couldn't get into a rhythm, but it was also it also felt good to me. I remember looking, being like, I think that was, and you're like, yep, got it. And it was a really satisfying feeling. And I remember walking away, which, you always want to walk away from audition, an actual job, being like, did I give my best, And I remember walking away being like, oh, I because of the process and the buildup of just going back and forth and getting it to, we both felt like we were content with it.
Yeah.
And
no, I mean that's what I love. I want everybody to have their input and stuff. I know what I need, but then I get so excited when somebody gives me something I didn't think of or beyond what I want, or it makes me then go ooh, do this.
Yes.
And then but then by the time I get all the takes, I always feel like, okay, we got it. I know I have it now. But I always, I never want an actor to leave the set going can I try,
Totally.
If somebody goes can I try something? It's cool, let's do it.
And that's another thing too that I feel like I had with you right away, which was because you made me feel comfortable, which is a huge, blessing that you enable actors to do, is to feel comfy enough to go can I do this? I mean, I remember in Ghostbusters, you were just like, hey man, I didn't hire you to hold all your ideas in your head. If you think of something funny, fucking say it. And guess what? We don't have to use it. But I do remember though, I kept holding the knife in a not intimidating way. And so that was one thing where you're like, we got to make it a little scary. You're you're holding it like it's a Sharpie, and you're dangling in front of a kid that you're like, I'll draw a dick on your face, Caleb. So I appreciate.
But you did it. You nailed it.
I did it.
You would thank you, because that was a scene we didn't have originally that I wrote, and it was we just need a moment where Sophie defends her friend.
That's awesome.
And it's who can I have play this role? role. I know.
Oh, man.
Adam Ray.
I
Well,
love
is
you,
he
dude.
around? And
I
you were
love
just
you.
coming back from
Australia.
Australia. That's
Yeah,
right.
I was good. I think it was like
It almost didn't work out.
Yeah, you guys were like, can you just come back like a day early? And I was like, yeah, duh. Like the only thing was going to be to go to Sydney and eat at Wahlburgers again, which is great.
Exactly. Come on.
But yeah, it was a blast. All right, so we're going to close this out with a
Song.
a song. Yeah, sing Boxcar's hit "Arms Around Me." No, we're going to do a 10-question questionnaire inside the Actor Studio.
Okay.
James Lipton, R.I.P. I'm going to be James Lipton and give the last 10 questions that James would close out the show with to our guest, Mr. Paul.
Is this
Feig.
like a lightning round?
No, it's take your time. So it's like, there's no right or wrong answer. You can give a funny answer or the real answer. I think, when I said, there's the question, what turns you on? And when I asked Matthew McConaughey that, I think he was like, perception. And I was like, okay, well, let's just end it. Like I was hoping for something a little sillier, but
Sweet Chrysler money.
Sweet Chrysler money. That's funny. All right, so here we go. I'm Lipton.
Hello.
Welcome back. I'm here with Paul Feig.
Hello, James.
Hello. You smell great.
Thank you.
Paul, what is your favorite word?
Corn.
Why?
I just think it could be
Corn, the food or the band?
no, the food. Although the band, I just watched Woodstock '99, so I just saw Corn in action. No, I think Corn could be the new fuck because it's got the hard consonant. It's kind of got that explosive sound, and it's a good, satisfying word to say. Comes
love
out
that.
nicely.
That's what she said. What is your least favorite word?
No, I'm kidding. What is my least favorite word? Gosh. I know most people say moist. You know how many people hate the word moist?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that because I have no problem with moist.
I have no problem with moist.
Yeah, but some people just
Betty
get so
Crocker had
upset
no
about
problem
it.
with moist. She was like, all my
Clearly.
cakes are moist.
Clearly.
What do you want me to say? Wet, drip, like a wet cake? Do you want a wet cake or do you want a moist cake?
My least favorite word is cute.
Great answer.
There you go. See?
What turns you on?
Wait, I was gonna say McConaughey's and I forgot it already.
McConaughey's answers.
Working.
What turns you off?
Not working.
What is your favorite curse word?
Corn. Fuck.
It's
I
great.
gotta go with the F word.
It truly is. Now, are you a hard, like, do you hit the CK or is it the F? Like when do you like?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's more FU.
It's a great release too. Like,
Oh, it's
I
the
feel
greatest.
like, I mean,
That's why I like doing R-rated movies. Like when we did The Heat, it was just like I kept saying to Melissa, "Say it more."
Did you really?
She was like, "I can't say it any more than I already am."
Oh my God. I always tell people too, like, because they're like, they're like, how much did Melissa get to just go out? I was like, I think Paul gave her like pretty free range
she
to
had
like
free reign.
to add in and to go. I mean, again, another movie where you just gave everybody, the freedom to use all the weapons, but also not inappropriately placed. I feel like it wasn't.
No.
Sometimes, you maybe see an old comedy special where you're like, oh, the swearing is, I can't focus. Like it was all. You did a good job of finding the right places.
Well,
to
I found that some people can swear really well, and some people are terrible at swearing.
Great call.
Yeah, I mean, some people it hits you like, ugh, it just is jarring.
Yeah.
And it feels weird. But the people who can, like Melissa, it's just like they're like a jazz artist. You're just like, oh man, come on,
Wow, yeah.
keep it coming.
What did she? Did she have an F-bomb when she said to Tom Wilson about something? I don't know what she said.
Tiny
to him.
mouse balls, or
Yeah, was that it? Yeah. One of my favorite lines in that movie is when he goes, "I have a 6-year-old son that calls me grandpa." Is that what it is?
Yeah, I go like, my 6-year-old calls me grandpa.
Yeah, this job's getting to me. I'm so stressed.
You know how old I am? 34.
Oh my God.
I'll credit the great Katie Dippold for a lot of those lines,
Katie
too.
Dippold crushed it. All right, what sound or noise do you love?
Oh my gosh. I have misophonia.
What is that?
It's a thing where I get very disturbed by noises.
Yeah.
Not loud noise, just certain noises, like somebody biting into an apple can drive me into a rage.
Oh, man.
Or like crunching, like
Yeah.
if you're by somebody just crunching on
Not a big fan of the crunching, or like the if you're like taking like this used to bother me in elementary school. The kids that had their sandwiches wrapped in not Saran wrap, but like or maybe just Saran wrap.
the wax paper.
Cellophane, yeah, wax paper, and just like it was. It's
Yeah.
like fucking, I don't know. Just don't eat today.
Yeah,
No.
I've had dinner with Richard E. Grant, and he's got the same things.
Whoa.
We've bonded over our
Great.
just things that make us like lose our minds.
Yeah.
But favorite sound, my wife's voice.
Great answer.
What sound or noise do you hate? Oh, you said that. In love. Okay,
Yes.
great. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Well, I wish I could be like a jazz musician. I wish I was like a great like saxophone player. I think that would be really cool.
The sax to me is arguably, I mean, piano looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But man, the sax, you're just like,
You're just cool, you know?
you're just cool.
Yeah.
Like when Clinton did it on Arsenio, it was like,
Yeah.
oh,
You're like, he's cool. Yeah.
I want to be an intern, you know? But also, I played the clarinet for 4 years, not bragging, but I was terrible. I was always third chair because I was more concerned with making people laugh in the band. And then also I would practice at home and then get nervous for the test. So they would have you test like in front of the whole class. And then I would challenge. There was a kid named Clement Lee, who was the first chair, and you could challenge, right? So I was third chair, and there was like 14 third chairs. I was like 3 towards the end. I was very bad. But my mom was always like, "This is a gateway to a sax. Like, I want you to play that because your dad left, and it's my favorite instrument, and I need this."
No.
And so I remember challenging Clement, and they would put us in the closet in the music room. And he'd go, all right, you guys decide who's going to go first, Clement or Adam. You decide, we won't know, and we'll judge as a class. So he goes, all right, whoever's going to go first, go. And then and it would be Clement playing. The kid was unreal. I think he still plays professionally now.
Right.
And it was just an amazing, whatever the song chosen for the test. And then next up, and then he goes, all right, number 2, go. And I just go, meh, and then I go, fuck, can I start again? And everybody just starts laughing.
You know
It's
it is.
clearly me. You knew it was me already.
Oh my God.
And then I would walk out being like, rigged, whatever. And I was like, he was in there talking shit, like, and just making a bit out of it. And I remember Mr. Harshman, my band teacher, would always be like, do you want to play this? Or are you just like another, is this just an audience
It's just a
for you?
gateway to the sax. You're just trying to please your mom.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a drummer, actually.
Are you really?
Yeah. I have been my whole life. Not a great drummer, but I'm a good drummer. I've been in a lot of bands. I'm a good beat drummer. But
That's awesome.
growing up, I had a big drum kit in my bedroom, and my bedroom faced the neighbor's house, like faced their driveway and stuff. So these poor people had to just put up with me playing the drum, and you're pounding away the whole thing. But and I was fine. But then one day I had a friend, Mark Lewis, who was in our school, and he was like an amazing drummer. And he came over and he started playing my drums like crazy. And all I remember is my neighbors that like later that day, they're like, "You got really good."
We're okay with it now.
I know. I was just kind of like, oh, I can't keep this going because unless Mark comes over every day.
Mark, please keep up the facade that my neighbors think I'm cool. Did you want to be in a band at one point?
I was in a lot of bands, yeah.
But I mean, like from that, were you like, was that
Professional drummer?
Yeah.
No. I find, because I'm a guitar player too and all that, I love playing music, and then I would hit a certain point a few hours in and go like, and now I got to drop it. Like I would get depressed all of a sudden.
Wow.
So I kind of go like, okay, this isn't my profession. It's just
Gotcha.
a fun outlet. Yeah.
What were some of the band names? That
Oh
you were
my!
in?
Well, I've been in some really shitty.
Is there
band
footage
names.
anywhere?
There is.
Can we do some fake, like, Where Are They Now VH1 doc about like some of these old feed bands?
Well, I was. Oh my God, totally. Well, the very first band I was in, it was this. We were all in the same music class together, music, teaching place.
Yeah.
And started a band, but we had to rehearse at this kid's parents' house all the time. And so we would kind of start rocking out, and the mom would always come in like, no, stop, or the dad like, you, and they would make us play like these like Blue Spanish Eyes and, and all these like wedding band songs. And then, so the mom, we were going to play a gig, and she forced us to be called the Kinsmen. And I was so upset. It's like, the Kinsmen, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Are we some weird folk band from the 50s or something? And then she was kind of a character, she wrote caricatures.
Yeah.
And she, for our card, drew a picture of the band, and she drew me with the biggest fucking nose I've ever seen in my life. And I looked like I don't know, like Gilligan if he was melting or something. And I was like, wait, your kids look really good in this, and why am I stuck in the fucking Kinsmen and this and look terrible? And then, but we played. My dad was in was a Kiwanis guy, and so every year they would do the Kiwanis pancake breakfast. That was the big thing, So people come from all over the community and do this thing. So they hired us to play. So we played, and we were really good. And it was like quiet kind of background music and all this. So then the next year, I had kind of quit the band, and my dad brought them back, and suddenly they came in like a fucking rock band.
What?
They cranked everything up, and we're like playing this big rock thing in the middle of this pancake breakfast. all the Kiwanis guys, oh my God, they're running around. And all I remember is the kid's dad, who always used to yell at us because we didn't play wedding music, going off on my dad, like, you're killing their artistic creativity. Even I, as a teenager, go like, you can't come into a fucking pancake breakfast and play fucking rock music at the top of your.
It's like a bachelor party at a funeral. You're just like, that's the wrong vibe at the wrong.
Totally.
Everyone's trying to chill out, have a couple cakes.
That was the demise of the Kinsmen. There you go.
When you quit the band, was that a big deal? I feel like that's such a it's almost like, I don't know. Not that you fantasize about quitting the band, but I feel like I've seen so many shows and movies where it's like somebody's like, I'm out. And it's always so devastating.
Oh, no, totally. Well, yeah, this one wasn't so bad because I think they kind of got tired of me.
Yeah. But I was pushed out.
But I was in a band with one of my best friends in high school who was an amazing guitar player, Randy Smith. He was great. And so we started a band, kind of this, a new wave band or whatever. And we got a big gig at this really, big club in Detroit. And so, but we were going to call ourselves the Gizmos. That was our name, the Gizmos. And so we're backstage getting ready to go on, and somebody comes in, they go, there's a band called Gizmo that plays. I was like, fuck. So we had to change the band name before we went on. So we go, The Tools. Okay, we're The Tools.
Oh my God.
So then we came out as The Tools. But then we didn't kind of realize that, if you call somebody a tool, that it's not necessarily a good thing. But we just thought it was kind of cool. So that was that.
Wow.
So I was in that band. But again, kind of how I would start to go like, do I want to be in a band? But I didn't know how to quit because it was one of my best friends.
Yeah.
So I made the great decision to have my dad call my friend and quit for me.
Awesome.
Paul, he's got behind in his studies, and I don't want him in the band, so he's going to quit. And of course, I immediately get a phone call from him like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
You have your fucking dad quit the band for you? And it's like, felt like the biggest idiot.
I had my mom do something similar, but it was calling the nurse to tell her that when they have everybody, there's a point when you go get a checkup in elementary school and everybody goes to the nurse, and I didn't want to take my shirt off because my boobs were bigger than the nurse, and I didn't want her to see that, and I didn't want to make her feel bad.
There you go.
Everyone goes, oh, you were embarrassed? No, I didn't want to make her feel bad.
I did it for her.
Yeah. All right, last question.
All right. Sorry, I can
no, you're good.
Tangents.
No, this is great. I just was told we need to wrap it. Here we go. Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I really love your movies.
And I hope, I heard there's rumors there's going to be a sequel to Pooh Plane.
Yeah, that's right. Really.
By the way, that's my God voice.
Oh, wow. Well, I like
I always think of it as an older, not Anthony Hopkins, but it's all just very
he's kind of the guy like Floyd the Barber thing going on there, actually.
Yeah. This was great.
Thank you, Adam.
Paul, did you have fun?
I had so much fun. I always have fun with you.
You're an amazing man. You're just you've been so great to me. I appreciate all the opportunities.
Please. You are what we call money in the bank in the business, because you go there's certain people you go let's just bring them in. They're going to nail it. They're going to bring something that we didn't expect, and they're great. And that's you.
I love you, dude.
Love you back.
Paul Feig on Instagram and Twitter.
Yep, there you go. I don't know Twitter. Who knows?
Twitter. Who knows?
Who knows what's going on? But as for now,
your gin. Let's give it a plug. Is incredible.
Please. Thank you.
So good. Where's the best place?
Artingstall's Brilliant London Dry Gin. Go to artingstallsgin.com, and it'll tell you all the places you can get it. And we're getting out more and more into the world as we go. And then I have a cocktail book coming out.
Shut up.
Yeah, it comes out next week, or I don't know when this is airing. On the 15th, as of the 15th of November,
Monday.
Okay, there you go. It comes out that day, I think.
The following week?
I think that's the next day, I think.
Is it? What is this month? Oh, yeah, it is, yeah.
I think it might actually
Tomorrow.
be the day yes, here it comes.
Get it now.
Yes.
Well, during COVID, you were so brilliant with the,
my IG show? Yeah, Cocktail Time. And that's the name of the book, Cocktail Time.
The amount of people, the engagement on that was incredible. And that was what, out of, we were all trying to do, come up, out of bourdom, right? You just want to do something, you want to connect.
Well, I wanted to help, I kind of know I was going to be sitting around for a long time. And it's how can I, I wanted to how can I make people feel better? I'm not a doctor, so we'll make drinks and try to make people laugh, and we'll raise money for various first responders and all that. And it was fun. Yeah, we did 100 days in a row without a break, and that's kind of what this book is based on. But then it's a lot more. It's about advice on how to throw a cocktail party, how to stock your bar, and then a lot of really dumb stories stories about me. So
awesome. All right, so get that now. We'll put up links for all that.
Yeah.
And go get his gin and go watch School for Good and Evil
please.
again.
Yeah, please.
Again.
Tell other people to watch it. We need the viewing hours. So
and look out for Paul in the next installment of MADtv because I threw him in the last couple shows.
I like my cameos were great. Yeah, exactly.
I love you, dude.
Oh, love you too, man.
Zoa. Thanks, Rock. Guys, Adam Ray here for the About Last Night podcast. Hope you enjoyed that episode. It was a good one. A lot of laughs, a lot of tears, a lot of stuff to think about and chew on, huh? Because that's what life's all about. Chewing on the good stuff. Nobody said that. Maybe Denzel did. Maybe Tom Hanks did. Maybe they said it together in Philadelphia. The point is, click subscribe right here on the ALN logo so you can get more episodes and stay up to date when new content drops. Highlights, animations, clips. It's all here for you, baby. I'll see you next time. Whoop, I don't know how to blink.